This is what I tell you, these animal activist groups, they'd be outraged at this. They just propaganda for to get things done for them. This in from 21st Century Wire. Exclusive evidence, the BLM's deadly abuse of animals taken from the Bundy Ranch. Now in part 1 we showed you where they were chasing them with helicopters. Okay, the U.S. federal government might have just evoked the fury of animal rights groups over the shocking treatment of cattle at the Bundy Ranch, and may soon face legal charges of severe animal abuse in Clark County, Nevada. I can guarantee it'll be a joke because the animal activists worked for them. This was all started out over horses. Then when it wasn't horses, it was burros. Then it was turtles. All it was an effort to get the ranchers out of here and just harass them to no end. Federal agency treatment of residents at the Bundy Ranch this week included tasering, beating, wrongful arrest, threatening residents with attack dogs, and mobilizing a federal paramilitary force whose barrels were trained on U.S. citizens. All in all, spending at least $3 million of taxpayer money in an effort to sell stolen cattle across state lines in Utah and California. A legal argument has also been made that the U.S. Department of Interior's Bureau of Land Management is now guilty of racketeering under federal RIC statute. Racketeering, influenced, and corruption organizations. If all that wasn't enough, evidence is now emerging regarding the pattern of extreme cruelty and abuse and suspected culling of animals from the Bundy Ranch. Nevada Assemblywoman Michelle Fiore, I'm so sorry, she's such a nice lady. Michelle Fiore has released new shocking information and images which document the horrors which BLM agents have inflicted on previously happy and healthy livestock. This is a headshot from a helicopter. Yeah, that's blood you see all soaked up into the ground. During a live broadcast with Pete Santilli show on GNM, Fury reveals new details of the BLM's method of herding, where they have slaughtered horses and cows. This time we have video of it and pictures of it. I did post a picture of one cow who was shot in the back of the head. I personally helped save a calf who had an umbilical cord attached to her as she was separated from her mom. They were chasing her while she was giving birth, or they knocked her into labor. That's how that happened. Alright, I can speak on this. I run cattle, or work cattle. We don't run cattle. Man, I'm getting bad terminology. BLM don't herd cattle, they slaughter cattle, said Fury. That's Michelle Fury, remember her on Voting Time. And this wasn't no photo op, she really cared. You can tell when they're just playing and they care. At the Bundy Ranch, working to save cattle retrieved nearly dead. According to the Bundy family, in total 27 baby calves have been rescued thus far, but farmers are still trying to trouble matching up their moms. It's a hard thing to do. You have to get around their mom, and then their mom's got to decide if they're theirs. Sometimes even when they're theirs, they reject them because they don't smell right anymore because they were gone for so far long. If you look at the stewardship of the land and herding of the cattle, first of all, these particular cattle that were grazing on 600,000 acres. Understand that when Bundy family would herd their own cattle, there would be water taps to where the cattle would go down and water and herd them humbly and softly. No cruelty, no abuse, herding them to where the cattle could get injured. We now have an evidence-based argument now with how BLM cannot take care of cattle or any other animals or the land. We have cows giving birth in a federal pen where baby calves have been stepped on and killed. This is the BLM's practice. They herd animals with helicopters, ATVs, and shotguns. If any cows get out of line, they get the bullet in the back of the head. This is what they plan on doing to you people. Better do something now while it's cows. Make sure the BLM are off state land, and make sure the BLM are not allowed to herd cattle ever again. Make sure the BLM is defunded. Near their compound, right off the highway, they were digging holes. They tried to bury some cows on the compound, but I guess they didn't dig the hole deep enough. So throw a cow in anyway. Dirt to cover it. Now the cow's legs are sticking up out of the dirt. Real environmentally sound. Earlier this week, GMN revealed a secret recording of the BLM Special Agent in Charge, Daniel P. Love, okay, who had stated that BLM have not killed any cattle. Fury's replied to Love's claim. He's a flat-out liar, period. It was confirmed by ranchers and observers last week of how BLM and their contract cowboys had deployed aggressive practices while rustling the Bundy herd using tactical helicopters, images below, forcing cattle to removal zones, oftentimes during cows uphill in a 90-degree heat, a lethal practice known to cause tremendous stress, exhaustion to the animals, causing sickness and even premature death. Last week, farmers suspected that the BLM agents were also scooping up the dead animals with heavy equipment like backhoe diggers and either burying carcasses somewhere. In addition, reports observed confirmed that spring heifers who were subject to abuse BLM tactics were forced to abandon some calves behind desert bush, a common practice by mother who are being rustled, who later can backtrack to retrieve their young, putting the calves at risk of death. Critics now believe that BLM and Clark County Sheriff's Office could be facing a strong legal challenge for the reckless handling of an ill-fated operation underlined by a litany of both human and animal rights abuses. Okay. Okay. I'm going to show you why nothing's going to get done. Okay. This is Holder, this is Reed, and this is the Sheriff Gillespie. Sheriff Gillespie's got a call for the charges. Harry Reid and Gillespie and Holder are buddies. Holder has to call on the RICO crimes. Okay? Now, what do you think the chances of that happening with this photo? Alright? I mean, this is in Nevada. They didn't just bump into each other at the White House. Okay, think on it. He has to call for charges. He has to decide to do it under RICO. And he controls everybody. He put everybody in charge that was in on it. Alright? Right down to the appointment in the White House. So now if you're going to call, you got to organize your calls. Congress don't pay attention till 5 people call on the subject, then they might think about it. Alright, so what you got to do is you got to get each area, whoever your senator or representative is and representatives are, you got to organize a day, and you make an event, and you call them each right then and there and tell them you're holding them responsible if he ain't dealt with right now. Now, to get this prosecuted, even if you get him to prosecute, he's going to blow the case. Alright? So he has to be removed. He should have been removed over Fast and Furious. How he's even drawing a paycheck after being in contempt still blows my mind.
In the late 1990s, the BLM did a seizure of cattle from the Hage Ranch, along with the Coven Ranch, which is in Esmeralda County. And at that time, the sheriff, my predecessor, left Nevada, went on a fishing trip, and during that time, the seizure took place. At that time, they took cattle from Wayne Hage's estate, from the Wayne Hage Ranch, and the person left in charge, the Narcan Sheriff's Office in that area, didn't have the authority, he stated, to stop the seizure. The quote was, he didn't want to go to Club Fed. when I came in office in 2003, a couple of months after I came into office, and I expected BLM, based upon the history that I was aware of, to start, to initiate some type of an action against Wayne Hage's ranch. And at that time, empowered my area commander, Assistant Sheriff Joanna Cody, and all the people in the Northern Area Command to stop any type of illegal cattle seizure from whatever governmental entity it was, whether it be from the state government, which we didn't believe was going to be a problem, but the federal government, whether it be BLM, U.S. Forestry Service. And at that time, a couple of months into my administration, I get a phone call from my lieutenant advising me that they were in the process of conducting an illegal seizure and legal action against Wayne Hage, which I told them, I informed them that they would carry out my orders and making sure that no illegal action took place against a constituent or citizens of Nye County, and that any unlawful action from the federal government would result in an arrest by the people that are there. And at that time, I was informed that they were in contact with a U.S. attorney, and that the U.S. attorney was advising them that, advising the members of Nye County Sheriffs and my lieutenant that if I didn't allow them to take these actions against Wayne Hage, that they were going to have a warrant for my arrest, which I said, I'll give my address and I'll be waiting for them. They can contact Las Vegas office, which is the closest one. We're only 45 miles from Las Vegas, and they can come to my residence and they can conduct whatever action they thought was appropriate, even though I stood on legal ground according to the Constitution. One of the interesting issues that came to me, or one of the interesting comments that came to me, was from one of my people who was up in the Northern Area Command, which informed me that the federal government was interested in seizing cattle, and they use any means necessary, including armed federal agents, which I informed my deputy to notify that member of that federal agency that if they brought any armed federal agents to Nye County to conduct an illegal search and seizure, that they would be faced with the Nye County Sheriff's Office SWAT team as well, and then we'd be standing between them and my constituent, and to advise them that nothing was going to take place, and if they conducted any kind of illegal action, that they would be placed under arrest. And that goes across the board. We placed members of my office under arrest. I didn't see any reason for us not to be able to arrest a member of a federal authority if they're conducting an illegal search and illegal seizure. And that action didn't take place. Apparently, I didn't know if they were posturing. The deputy didn't know if they were posturing as well. But shortly thereafter, we didn't have any more issues with BLM. I explained to him what the Constitution was. I explained to him my position as the sheriff of Nye County. I explained to him the position that we're taking as law enforcement authority and protector of life and property for our constituents in Nye County. And I explained to him what the Constitution was. I explained to him the errors that they have committed. These seizures that were taking place were not court ordered. They weren't ordered by a judge. What it was a signature by Representative BLM stating that that BLM rangers are going to seize these cattle with whoever they contracted to take the cattle into custody, and then take them off the property, which they did several times in Nye County, and sell them outside of not only the Fourth Amendment unlawful seizure, but also the Fifth Amendment of due process. And also, the government has to compensate for any property they take, and it's paraphrasing the Fifth Amendment, but you take property, you have to compensate the property owner for it, and they did neither of those. And the order was for them to take cattle outside of any kind of federal, any kind of due process, without the ability of a rancher or the property owner actually standing in front of a judge in the court to plead the case and having their time in court, so to speak. And I explained to them that outside of a court order, that they would not be able to seize any cattle whatsoever, or they would not be able to take any property off the ranch. At one meeting I had with BLM, Representative BLM, they told me that they were going to seize cattle, and at that time I said, well, you can do whatever you want, except you're not going to be able to take the cattle off if you're looking to seize cattle. I said, it's not going to happen. And we're not going to pound any cattle on your behalf outside of fact, maybe what we can do is, if you have a lawful order, we can hold the we're not going to have the cattle removed off the property. We'll impound them on the ranch. And as I said, I'll make sure that I tell the ranch, the owner of the ranch, to make sure this cattle stays on the ranch. And at that time, if he disobeys my request, and we'll deal with that on a local level. But as far as I'm concerned, that no cow's going to be removed from anyone's property without a court order. And since that time, they've never produced a court order as far as any type of a seizure. And after that meeting, the 2004 meeting, things kind of quieted down with BLM. We actually were able to work things out, and we came to an understanding if they were going to go on to the allotted lands, the Wayne Hage's allotted lands, or any ranches allotted lands up in northern Nye County where these ranches are, that they would contact us, and then we'd escort them around on the ranches, make sure there would be no incidents, that the BLM rangers would stay within what their authority, which is to count the head of cattle. And at one time, they were trying to issue a trespass against Wayne Hage for garbage, for his garbage area. He actually has a dump there on the ranch, and they were going to cite him for dumping garbage in this dump that he was allowed to have. And in fact, I actually contacted Wayne Hage when it came to my attention. They would issue a citation. And I asked Wayne Hage, I said, "Where's this dump you're talking about?" He says, "No, that dump's been there since 1860s. So I contacted BLM, and I said to the ranger, I said, "Let me ask you a question. This dump has been there since 1860. I know that BLM is a little slow, and I know the government is a little slow about taking some type of appropriate action. But I said, over 130 years is a little ridiculous." Just give you a short, synopsis of what happened following Wayne Hage's death and the death of his second wife. And I explain. In 1991, when Wayne Hage's property was seized by the federal government, he started he filed a lawsuit against and filed a case against the federal government. In 1996, the stress and strain that Wayne Hage believed, the stress and strain of his battle with the federal government, took the life of his wife. His wife, Jean, got very sick, and she died in 1996. Sometime after, he married Helen Jenoweth Hage. She was a congresswoman for Idaho, and they got married, and shortly after Wayne Hage died, she died as well, and she died in a car accident. After the death of Wayne and Helen Hage and Jean Hage, the federal judge rendered a decision in the case, and rendered a decision in favor of Wayne Hage. Actually stated in the case that the federal government actually illegally seized property. The case settled for over $4 million. Subsequent to that, in contact with the family, my understanding is that the federal government's appealing to the judge's decision, and that case is now in the hands of the court. Subsequent to that, the federal government has continued to write trespassing citations towards the Wayne Hage and his estate. Wayne Hage's estate. His ranch is now managed by Wayne Hage Jr. And to see the type of life that these people have, ranching is hard work, and all they're trying to do is put food on the table for Americans. Our concern and my concern is the fact that we import now most of our food. We import most of our resources in oil. We're now importing most of the and resources that we once had in this United States, which was food, is now being imported into this country. And the concerns we have is, as citizens of Nye County and citizens and the ranchers, is the fact that the government is now could allow the United States to be held stranglehold, like OPEC controls the oil. That the concerns that a lot of citizens have is that that the food may be used as a way of holding America hostage in the future.
We got a new candidate for mayor. Who? Me.
I'm trying real hard, Hope. I swear I am. Oh, but I don't know if I'm doing right or not.
But Jesse?
He gets these spells. Can't remember how to do certain things, and sometimes his voice gets stuck. He just goes wild. Scares the boy half to death. Me too.
Does he try to hurt you?
No. Mostly he just hurts himself.
Jesse's gonna get better. It's just a matter of time.
He wants me to quit working.
What do you think?
Nope. I love running that factory. And I got a real knack for it, too. We're making more money now than we did when Jesse ran it.
Have you tried talking to him about it, telling him how you feel?
It's not as easy as it used to be. He doesn't really want to talk anymore. He didn't even talk to me about running for mayor. He just decided to do it. I think it's a crazy idea.
Have you thought about encouraging him? He's doing something he believes in.
Encourage him? But how? He's got no chance, let's face it. Now, the whole thing is just plain foolish.
Not to him.
Well, I better get on back. Thanks for the time, Hope.
I wish I had the answers for you, Becky.
It's just nice to have someone listen.
Becky, you're taking care of a lot of things right now. Don't forget to take care of yourself. If you ever want somebody to talk to, day or night, you know where I am.
You take such good care of everybody, Hope. That takes care of you.
Hello, sir.
Well, what can I do for you, son?
My name is Juan Medina. I came about the job, office clerk.
I see. Well, have a seat there, Mr. Medina.
Thank you. Oh, these are my discharge papers. Honorable discharge.
They really give you the Bronze Star, son?
Yes, sir. It's right here.
So they did. Well, what would you say your qualifications are, Mr. Medina?
I'm a very hard worker.
Do you know anything about the insurance business?
I learned fast. I learned very fast in service. I had a lot of special training.
What kind of special training?
Munitions, explosives.
We don't have occasion to blow up too much around here, son. But if we ever do, we'll know who to call.
The ad says no experience.
I'm sorry, son. I just don't think it's gonna work out. Look, I'll tell you what. If you really need a job, son, always use somebody to sweep up around here. If you want to, come on back, just for closing.
I'd like to help him out, but what could he do here?
Well, I was thinking maybe file clerk.
Tom Cantrell's nephew is our file clerk.
You mean the kid that sits around all day?
You're a good lawyer, George. But since when did you get so friendly with the Mexicans?
Dad, I trust my life with this man. We'd be lucky to have him.
Don't be naive, George. He doesn't have the right qualifications. You understand what I'm saying?
Loud and clear.
Your heart's in the right place, son. Bring me the Mallinson file when you get a chance, would you?
I'm sorry, Johnny.
It's okay, I understand, George.
Well, it's, there's just no openings. It's a small company, and
It's okay, thanks for trying.
now, if things are tight, I can spot you some dough. That's no
Oh,
problem.
no, nothing like that. I'm fine. No, thank you.
And just keep it in mind.
You know you don't have to worry about me. You ever miss the war, George?
The truth? A little bit, yeah.
Me too.
George, you better hurry. We're gonna be late.
Late for what?
Oh, don't tease me, darling. The Carlsons' dinner party. It's been on the calendar for weeks.
I don't feel well.
Well, you'll feel better after a nice dinner.
I'm not in the mood for a party.
You haven't been in the mood for anything. It's time for you to snap out of it. The war's over.
Oh, snap out of it. How easy. Why didn't I think of that?
Don't be sarcastic, George. It doesn't suit you.
Look, I don't want to sit at another dinner party where the only thing everyone wants to hear are old war stories that I'm trying to forget.
You're not sounding much like a candidate, George.
Well, I'm not yet, am I?
Ronnie Bishop called today from the Ovington Observer. Wanted to know if there was any truth to the rumor you're running for trustee with Tom Cantrell.
Must be a slow news day.
Of course, I told him you were.
You did what?
It doesn't hurt to get a little press, George. Let Cantrell know people are interested in you.
Barbara, I haven't told anyone I'm running. I haven't told anyone I'm even strolling yet. Now, my advice to you is that you call Ronnie What's-His-Name back and you tell him that you're mistaken.
George, you know you're gonna run. You're gonna run because it's the right thing to do. You better shave, darling.
All's okay. That'll be 235, sir. Thank you. Oh, they're the neighbors. Hello, Mr. Jones. Yes, I do have the most beautiful house on the block. Thank you. Oh, my car. It's just something I used to get around in. A car like this, it's just wasted on rich people. You know why?
No, why?
Because everything they have is just good, so they don't even notice anymore. Me, I haven't even got a chair as comfortable as these seats. I'd always notice. Someday we'll have a car like this. You know, a car you can't hear coming from 5 blocks away.
I know.
I'll be right back. Howdy. Feel it.
You that kid they gave that bronze star to, right?
That's right.
So I'm getting my gas pump by Genuine Hero. I like that. Annie?
It's gonna be 85 cents.
Where's Andy?
Oh, he had to leave early.
Left you in charge?
Uh-huh. It's gonna be 85 cents for gas. You didn't need much.
Whoa, son, relax. You're working too hard. You know what the problem is with a lot of your people from down Mexico way? They think the world owes them a living. That's why I like to see a hard-working Mexican like you. You talk good, too. You know, a lot of these Mexican kids, they don't talk good English.
Maybe someday I'll give you lessons.
Okay, son, where is it?
What do you mean, where's what?
Envelope with my name on it. Where'd your boss leave it?
I don't know what you're talking about. Andy will be back in the morning. You know, I really do need that 85 cents for gas.
You got it all wrong, son. I don't pay you. You pay me. Now, where's my envelope?
I haven't seen any envelope.
Maybe, just maybe, Put it in your own pocket.
Look, I told you, I really don't know what you're talking about.
Cough it up, boy.
Remember this guy's face? This guy's face? Okay, Harry Reid and Sheriff Gillespie. And Curly here. Okay, thinks he's cute. I'll show you something in a minute. This is going to tie in with the film. Okay, it looks like they cleaned it up and pulled, but thanks to being able to pull stuff, I was able to find this. This is it. The mental militia. It was topic: CCW holder shot at Costco by police. The man shot by police outside a Summerlin Costco store on Saturday was a graduate of the U.S. Military Academy at West Point with a master's degree from Duke University, friends said. Army veteran Eric Scott, 39, was at the store near Charleston Boulevard in Las Vegas Beltway with his girlfriend before 3 officers fatally shot him in a confrontation. Friends of an attorney speaking on behalf of Scott's relatives described him as a good man with a military family. His father was in the Air Force and his grandfather fought in World War II. Friend Mike Polster said, "The most loyal, honest, trustworthy, soul of the earth guy you could meet," said Posteri, 38. "You only meet 1 or 2 of those kind of guys in your life, and Eric was one of them." For now, the police side. According to the Las Vegas police, officers were called to 801 South Pavilion Boulevard by a store worker who said a man was destroying merchandise. Police were told the man had a gun. Captain Patrick Neville described Scott as kind of going berserk. Workers evacuated the store. Officers stopped Scott outside as the customers were leaving. Neville said an officer tapped the man on the shoulder, identified himself as a police officer. Scott then spun around and reached for his gun. Law enforcement officials said they ordered him to the ground. Neville said the officers on Saturday he does not comply with that order. He reaches for a weapon, pulls the weapon out, at which time the weapon was out of the waistband. 3 officers fired multiple times, killing Scott. Now, the witnesses. That was the police. All 4 witnesses said they were within 20 feet of the store's main entrance. They said Scott walked out of the entrance with the crowd. They described an officer shouting at Scott, then a quick succession of gunshots. The witnesses different in their recollection of what the officer said. Amsbury heard, "I told you to stop, stop." 2 witnesses interviewed Sunday heard, "Drop it." A 4th witness interviewed Saturday heard, "Get down, put it down, or get out of the way." A second anonymous witness said Sunday he saw Scott pull up his shirt and turn toward the shouting officer. Then he saw the man get shot, drop to his knees, fall face first in front of the entrance. A second anonymous witness said Sunday he saw Scott pull up shirt. There wasn't even time for someone to react. The second witness said the guy didn't pull a gun. There was no gun in his hand. There was no gun on the ground. The second witness said he was interviewed by homicide detectives and gave them the same account. The first anonymous witness also didn't see Scott make a threat. "I certainly did not see the guy do anything with a gun that would threaten anybody." The first witness said Sunday it appeared to me that if he'd had a gun on him, that they were literally in his pocket or in his waist. The first witness, also interviewed by homicide detectives, said about the shooting. Hopefully the video, if there is one in the store, will shed some light. Wait till you see what happens next. Officer in Costco shooting says man raised gun, didn't know it was in a holster. Surveillance camera failed 2 days before fatal police shooting. Metro police officer William Osher testifies about shooting Eric Scott during coroner's inquest at the Regional Justice Center Thursday. Mosher was the first. Okay. Prior to the shooting, Mercer said he had been told over the police radio that Scott had said he was a Green Beret, had been acting erratically, was throwing merchandise around the store. Whew, where do they think this stuff up? Nobody claims to be a Green Beret that ain't been. They know better. You can pause this and read it if you like. Just going to get on with it. All the man had on him was a BlackBerry. He had no gun. We're not even going to look at Channel 8's version because we know they lied. We've seen what they did. We're not even going to click on their page.
Maybe I'll give you a lesson in front of your mamacita in there. Is that what you want?
I don't have your money.
How could he do this to us? It's like he's turned his back on the whole town.
People like George stick with their own kind.
Well, this doesn't change anything. Still gonna run, kick their butts.
Come on, Jesse. Who's gonna vote for us when George runs against us?
I don't want to hear that kind of talk, Andy. Now, we got our flyers printed up. We're gonna hit the streets tomorrow.
Jess, I gotta lock this place up. Anybody finds out I let y'all in here,
You can count me in, amigos.
Well, you gotta give the poor fella credit. He's got the courage of his convictions. Veterans Party. Bipartisan. Man has some imagination, don't you think, George? Now, what do you suppose he's after? I mean, what do you think he really wants out of all this?
I think he wants to do the right thing.
Now, I really feel sorry for him. Cigar, George?
No, thank you.
Well, is there anything else we need to go over?
No, it's all clear.
Cheer up, son. There's nothing to it. We'll make a couple of speeches, show up at 1 or 2 fundraising dinners for our beloved governor, and play 18 holes on Election Day.
It's that easy.
It's a blessing. People know what's right.
They'll also know what's wrong.
Afraid I don't follow you there, George.
You know what I'm talking about, don't you, Sheriff?
No idea.
He paid a visit to Juan Medina yesterday. Ended up beating him half to death. Little misunderstanding over a payoff, I'm told.
What's this all about, Sheriff?
Beats me. I never touched him.
George. George, I think this election is getting you all jittery. Now, why don't you just relax for a few days? I've got everything under control.
Yeah, you treat this county like it's your own little dictatorship, Tom. How long do you think people are going to stand for that?
I wouldn't be so quick to judge, son. Remember, we're all in this together. Besides, everybody's a little tainted, one way or another. Born politician.
What do you want me to do about Meadows?
Do? Why? What is there to do? Let the boy run. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give the young man the chance to go head-to-head with me. Public debate.
Well, that's going to make it look like you take him serious.
No. It's gonna make it look like I have nothing to fear. Besides, as I understand it, this boy left half his brain on some battlefield. Well, get him up in front of the people of this town and let them see exactly what kind of man wants to be their mayor.
Set it down. Thank you. You think this is all a big joke, don't you?
I never said that.
You don't have to. It's all over your face. Every time you look at me.
I'm just afraid you're taking on too much too soon.
Oh, you're worried I'm gonna make a fool out of myself.
Don't start this again, Jesse. Now, if you feel this is what you have to do, then do it.
Well, maybe it would be a little easier if I thought you were behind me.
I am behind you. I don't understand what you want from me.
Yes, you do. I'm gonna ask you again for the last time. Quit the factory and work with me on this. I need you. I can get half a dozen men to run that factory for me just as good as you.
Oh, is that right? Well, then why don't you just get that half a dozen men to help you run this election?
Because I need my wife. Now, how do you think it looks when you're never around? People don't think you take it serious.
This has nothing to do with the election, Jesse. You just don't like me running that factory by myself. You want me back here in the house waiting on you hand and foot.
That's a lie.
Is it? Well, then how come you didn't need me when you cooked up your veterans party? You didn't even bother talking to me about it. You made me feel like I wasn't even part of things anymore. And that hurt, Jesse.
That hurt? Well, how do you think it feels to come home? See your wife doing your job for you? That you don't fit in no more?
That was all in your mind. I never tried to make you feel that way. I wanted you to come back to the factory. I didn't tell you to go run for mayor.
Oh, is that right? Well, I'll tell you what. I'll drop out of the race right now, and I'll take the factory over again, and you can stay home with Sam. How would that be? I'll call Juan right now.
Jesse!
You don't want that, do you? You don't want me back there.
It's not like that. It's just that I've been running it for a long time, and I've done good with it, real good. I never even dreamed I could run a business. It feels good to use my brain. Maybe it makes me like myself more, but it doesn't mean I love you less. You can't ask me to go back to the way things were, Jesse.
Well, you better figure out what's more important to you. Your job or your husband.
How come I'm the one that has to decide? Maybe you better figure out what's more important to you, the election or your wife.
I'll be the one to give out jobs, take bids on county work. And I'll make a very good salary. You can move out of this place, maybe get a house in town. What do you think, huh?
What about your job?
I quit. This campaign is my job now. I thought you'd be happy. For once, we get a chance to take things into our own hands. To make the rules ourselves. What are you thinking?
About my sister, the one in California. Her husband works on a farm. They're safe there. There are a lot of jobs. There's nothing to be afraid of. She has a lemon tree right outside her window.
I'm not gonna run away. We have to fight to change things.
I'm afraid.
Of what?
What I will do to you.
I say it's time for people to stop having to live in fear of our sheriff and his deputies. It's time for people to stop having to pay bribes just to keep the businesses open. I say it's time for a change. That time is now.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have patiently listened while this young man has made his wild accusations.